It is preview season here on Armchair Analysis, and today it's all about the Minnesota Golden Gophers. PJ Fleck leads this team in yet another season, and they're coming off of 8-5. They had a really good year and seemingly improve in a lot of places. We'll talk more about that. Of course, recap the 2024 season and give you a full-on 12-game schedule prediction as always here. First off, I want to say if you're new around here, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. We're chugging along. We are up over 50 subscribers since I rebranded this channel. Started taking things a little bit more this direction, and it's just been a lot of fun. It's always nice to see like your work and ideas pay off, and it's just really cool. I appreciate you guys for being here to support that. And we're not just a preview channel here. We've got content coming down the line once these are done. As a matter of fact, I've scheduled it out already all the way to August 8th, meaning that the following Monday, August 11th, we're on to real college football content, all like season content, what I call the playing season. I divide it up into 4 seasons. I'll talk about it maybe another time, maybe different off-season content, but or non-playing season, as I call it, content. But yeah, we'll get through all that down the line. But I thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate it. And let's go ahead and talk about Minnesota. This is a team that last year went 8-5, 5-4 in Big Ten play. They were a team that averaged 26 points per game, gave up 16.9 points per game. That was top 10, ninth in the country. This is a team that's turnover margin was plus 0.4. That was 32nd in college football. Bringing a 49th ranked recruiting class, a 29th ranked portal class, which consisted of 22 commitments. And I think they address the needs, address the gaps they're going to have. And when you look at this season, the biggest question is kind of how do they replace everything they lost defensively? I think it's going to be a lot better than we think. But this offense has a lot that they're bringing in too, and they're trying to make some things better. The receiving room specifically was a focus. And PJ Fleck and Greg Harbaugh, of course, this offense is going to be the typical pro style where it's going to control the ball. They have 5 returning starters. Drake Lindsey is the new starting quarterback. He only threw 5 passes last year, so really we don't have a big sample size on what he can be, but I expect that Drake Lindsey is going to be a really, really solid step up. I thought that Max Brosmer was supposed to be a little better, and he played well, but I just expected more personally. I think Drake Lindsey is going to be able to step in and take over the role and really be that bona fide starter from the beginning. At running back, this is one of my favorite running back duos in the country. I would rank them top 5 personally. Darius Taylor, AJ Turner. Taylor returning starter from last year. AJ Turner coming over from Marshall. This is going to be a really fun duo in the backfield. Like I said, they have potential to both be in the 1,000-yard range. Do I think that's going to happen? Likely no, but I think they both can do it, either one of them. You look at the wide receiver room, and you got Lameka Brockington. That's going to be your returning starter from last year in this room, and then you got Christian Driver returning to the program. Javon Tracy comes in from Miami, Ohio, and then you have Logan Loya stepping in from UCLA. I think this receiving room is a step forward from last year. They just continue to add little pieces. I'm excited to see Javon Tracy. I think that he was a guy that people were really excited about when he announced he was going to Minnesota. So this receiving room has a lot to prove, but I am excited to see what they do. And they get a couple of weeks to really settle in as well, which I think is a big help. Jameson Gears comes back. He's the returning starter from tight end. And then they got 2 returning starters on the offensive line. My biggest question mark on the offensive line, they have a freshman left tackle, Nathan Roy or Nathan Waugh. I don't know. Let me know how to say that down below, because when I think Minnesota and the name R-O-Y, I think kind of the Canadian, the like Patrick Waugh. So let me know if I'm getting it right or wrong, what the right pronunciation would be. This team was graded 43rd in pass block, 66.1 PFF grade. Run blocking, 69.6. That was 18th in college football. And I expect very similar. They're going to be a really run-heavy team. and kind of set up play action passes, get Drake Lindsey comfortable. And they're not going to need to do it for a while, but as they go, I think this offense, this receiving room is going to get better. And that's a good thing because, on top of that, their toughest games are on the road. They got a really good road game draw in the sense that, like, the games that were already probably losses to begin with are on the road. So then you get some other interesting games, Michigan State, Nebraska, Wisconsin at home in Huntington Bank Stadium. You look at the defense, Danny Collins, defensive coordinator, and this team's got 5 returning starters, bringing in Jeff Roberson from Oklahoma State, Jalen Bowden from North Carolina Central, and John Nestor comes over from Iowa to play corner. We'll see how they all can mesh together and fill in and really replace some of what they lost. This was a team that was extremely productive last year in a lot of ways in the backfield with sacks, tackles for loss. Productive in the turnover margins, 17 interceptions, 9 forced fumbles. You got Coy Perrick coming back, All-American last year, who had 5 interceptions. Was tied for 4th in the country. Maverick Baranowski comes back with 65 tackles. He also leads the team in returning tackles for loss with 5. Devin Eastern comes back, leads the team in sacks with 2, and then multiple players forced 1 fumble last year. Again, this team was really good at creating issues, forced almost 2 turnovers a game, actually right at 2 turnovers a game, 26 total. Turnover opportunities, I'm sorry. Forced fumbles are not fumble recoveries, but forced fumbles is a little bit better of a gauge of how the opportunities they're creating for themselves. So I like to use that one a little more. But still, 26 opportunities is really, really solid from this program. When you look at this team, the biggest thing we can say is that I expect the PJ Fleck team to have a good defense. They may not be top 10 like they were last year, but I think they'll still be in that under 20 points per game category. Just the way that they play offense and the way that their defense will play. I don't really expect much different there. I think the defense is going to be fine. It's a matter of how quick, again, do these wide receivers step in, get comfortable, work together, and become a really good flowing offense. They have a lighter start to the season. They got Buffalo, Northwestern State, and then a road trip to Cal, which is not necessarily easy. They do bring in Devin Brown, and they work a little bit to improve off of last year, but at the same time, the portal took them apart. They lose Fernando Mendoza to Indiana. They lose Jaden Ott to Oklahoma. Javian Thomas goes down to UCLA. Multiple receivers go out to. They are just kind of struggling for that consistency and to be able to hold on to a lot of players. So Cal may not be as tough as once thought when this was scheduled. And then you get a home game against Rutgers, which is good, but Rutgers is a good team and a tough team. Greg Schiano's always got them ready to go. But being at home is a helpful spot. And then you get that road trip at Ohio State in the first weekend of October. So with all that said, and since we already started with the schedule, let's go ahead and pull it up and let you take a look. Again, that road trip against Ohio State October 4th, then you get Purdue, Nebraska at home. A road trip to Iowa, Michigan State at home, Oregon on the road, Northwestern on the road, and Wisconsin at home. But this is the thing, when I talk about this, you have not necessarily a tough road slate in some cases. You have 3 that I think are just tough games, plain and simple. Ohio State, Iowa, Oregon on the road. And then Cal is situational dependent. Northwestern, kind of situational dependent. What can they be? But I think those are 2 winnable games. I think Iowa's a winnable game. And then Ohio State, Oregon, those are the 2 theoretical best teams in the conference. What more can you say for them? Drawing Purdue, Nebraska. I keep screwing up and I'm going to say Northwestern. Drawing Purdue, Nebraska, Rutgers, Michigan State, and Wisconsin at home. 5 50-50 games that get swayed a little more in your favor now because you're at home. I think it's a big deal. And truth be told, I don't know if they're 50-50 games. I think Minnesota's kind of a favored team in probably 4 out of 5 of those games. So with that said, let's go ahead and predict it. But before we do, keep in mind the over-under is at 6.5. This team's odds to win the Big Ten are plus 13,000, and they have a national championship odds of plus 65,000. Caveat to this whole thing: I set the over/under at 6.5. The place that I use, which is FanDuel, did not have a line for Minnesota win total anymore. I couldn't find it. I don't know if they ever had it, but I certainly could not find it the other day. I didn't find it this morning before I recorded this video. So I do not know, truthfully, if 6.5 is an accurate number. They may be a 7.5. I don't know. I set it at 6.5. I based it on what other teams like them were getting. So that's where I put them. So 6.5 is where I'm at. There's no odds for that. I couldn't find them, at least not on FanDuel. So with that said, let's go ahead and predict. And prediction be damned, I'm just going wins for the first two games because Buffalo, Northwestern State, 2 games, really good opportunity to build up and figure out who you are as a team. That's kind of where you stand. You go on the road to face Cal, and I think it's going to be a win. Look, again, this Cal team got destroyed by the portal. They're struggling a little bit in that regard. So at this point, it's Minnesota, go on the road, control, come back with a win. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. You get a home game against Rutgers, and again, this game being at home is a big help. I think that Rutgers is still going to be kind of figuring out who they are offensively. The defense is going to be good. I think that this is going to be the first test for Drake Lindsey in that passing game. But I think the run game, the offensive line, the way they're going to come together is really going to be the big difference maker. They'll get the win over Rutgers. Road trip to Ohio State, they're going to lose that game. I think OSU is just the better team, plain and simple. When you look at physicality standpoint, I think Minnesota can match, but it's just how long and where does the talent eventually kind of take over. Ohio State's obviously going to be able to have the advantage in that category. They'll get a win over Purdue. I think that's a pretty self-explanatory. Like, they're just currently better, and Barry Odom's done a lot, has a huge portal class. They're going to be improved this year, but how much is to be determined. They'll get a win over Nebraska. I think this might be an upset win. This might be the one game that they're not favored in at home, but I think they're going to get the job done. This Nebraska team has some interesting flaws, and I think that they play into the capability and the strengths of this Minnesota offense specifically, but also this Minnesota team as a whole. So I'm taking Minnesota to get the job done. I think that secondary really steps up. Nebraska is going to be a team that I'm curious, can they run the ball? We'll see as the year goes on. If they can, maybe that, my opinion, changes, but the secondary for Minnesota stays really strong, and that's going to be what helps them win a game. A road trip to Iowa, I think they're going to lose in Kinnick. I think that Iowa kind of plays their game a little better, and then when you have the home field advantage on top of that, it's just going to make it a little more difficult. So I'm going to take the Hawkeyes to win there. You get a home game against Michigan State, and it really depends for me. Like, is Aiden Childs going to be good, or is Aiden Childs going to kind of revert back to last year's ways where it was just really inconsistent? Both of these teams have kind of a differing direction at the moment. Minnesota seems like they are kind of trending upwards. Michigan State kind of seems like they're just kind of plateaued for the moment. I think Minnesota, being the home team, home field advantage, will win this game. But it'll be close. I don't foresee this being like a crazy spread. Maybe like 3.5 to 5.5. But we'll see. Again, November's a long way away, I hope. A loss on the road at Oregon. It's hard to go to Autzen anyways, and then let alone when they've got just a talented team. At this point, Dante Moore is going to be kind of in the midst of, like if Dante Moore is what we expect him to be, then there's not much of a shot, I don't think. If Dante Moore is a little worse, and we're talking about, Minnesota making a couple plays, creating a couple turnovers, maybe they're still in this game. I don't know. But for right now, I'm taking Oregon pretty comfortably. They'll win that road game against Northwestern. I just think Minnesota has, again, more of a physical presence in this game. And then lastly, against Wisconsin, I just can't buy the Wisconsin hype right now. So I think that Minnesota gets that one too. Closes out at 9-3, 6-3 in conference play. I've said it multiple times. I think this team is a sleeper team and a like a sneaky contender for like best of the rest when we talk about, and when I say that, obviously we're talking about behind Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State, and whatever order they finish. Like those four we expect to be at the top. And then there's, the Minnesotas, the Nebraskas, the USCs, the Iowas, that we expect to kind of fill in that second spot, that second tier. And then there's everybody else. Minnesota might just be that kind of best of that second tier this year. I think they have a really good running game, and I think their schedule helps them so much because it's teams that are really, I don't want to say non-factors, but unknowns, truthfully. Um, we don't know what Purdue's going to be. Rutgers, we kind of know, but Kyle Monangai was really the heart of that team last year. Who's going to step up and be that running back this year? How are they going to move the ball offensively? Because I don't think they can rely on just the arm of Ethan Kaliamanis. When we talk about Nebraska, they're good, but they don't really have a consistent looking run game. On paper, it doesn't look like they can run the ball very well. That's why we played the game, but I don't know for now. And then Wisconsin, I really don't expect a lot out of them. I think this is going to be a down year. So when we do all of that and talk about all that, yeah, this team really does kind of fit into that 9-win range, and I think that's an incredible year for Minnesota. It's not going to be playoff worthy because you just don't have the strength of schedule. You don't have the strength of record, really. You would have had to beat Ohio State, Iowa, or Oregon, or really you'd have to beat one of Ohio State or Oregon to be able to make an argument. But I think 9-3, a really good year, and puts Minnesota in the conversation going forward, maybe for some more receiving talent. Maybe they can step into that role. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what I may have missed, of course. It is possible. These previews, you do 136 teams or try to look into 136 teams, you're bound to miss something here or there. So let me know what I may have missed. Let me know what you guys think of this Minnesota team. I'm excited. I'm really pumped to hear what y'all have to say. Enjoyed the comments section lately. It's been kind of popping off. We've been having a lot of fun kind of discussing things, and I've been having a lot of fun reading all of your comments, whether they're good or bad. I got plenty of interesting comments on the Texas A&M video, and look, they all had a point to an extent. Every one of them has a point, and it's cool to just hear those outside opinions. Really a lot of fun, and I'm excited. So let me know what you guys think. Again, if you're new around here, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. And tomorrow we've got the South Carolina Gamecocks. Really pumped for this team in 2025. Excited to get a chance to talk about what they can be in this 2025 team. Are they really a playoff contender? To be determined. So thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.